Action. Action Jackson.
Oh, Action Jackson, says producer one. She must have been watching the Ravens game where Action Lamar Jackson led the Ravens to a 37-3 win over the Seahawks. Or really, it's more Gus Edwards in the defense. But Action Jackson we are. Welcome back to the Road to Paris, everyone. First Road to Paris, little R2P since the World Championships. Now, this is going to cover both events, both in Goa, India, and Haikou, China. And I know that it is November right now, but I'm going to start this episode sort of rewinding back to last December. So last December, Bourne sent shockwaves through the American beach volleyball community when he announced that he was partnering with Chaim Schalk, dumping Trevor Crabb. A couple days later, after a lot of people wonder, well, what's Trevor going to do? What's Theo going to do? Are Andy Benesh and Miles Partain, are they going to stay together? What are the Taylors going to do? Theo and Trevor announced that they were playing together. A short while later, Chase Budinger and Miles Evans announced that they were playing together. The Taylors were sticking together. Benesh and Partain, after 3 very good events in the fall in Dubai, and the Maldives, they were sticking together. And so the scene was set. Every single top team on the American side was switching except for Taylor Crabb and Taylor Sander. And so that led to a lot of different emotions. There was apprehension. There was excitement. Were we going to be better than we were in 2022? Because frankly, on the men's side, we couldn't have gone much worse. We only won 3 medals the entire season. All 3 of those came at the very end. One of those was Chase Budinger and Troy Field. That was a silver in the Maldives, and then they broke up. The other one was Andy Benesh and Miles Partain. They won gold in Dubai, and then there was Paul Lotman and Taylor Crabb, a team that wasn't really a team. They won a silver in Dubai. And so it was just this big mix-up of, well, did Tri make the right decision? Did Theo make the right decision? Who was going to be at the top? And for a while, we were wondering, did everyone just make the wrong choice? Now, Theo Brunner, when I talked to him that December, he said, there was really no choice. With the way that we were performing overseas, all the teams had to break up. The only one who had a legitimate argument to stay together was Theo and Chaim, because they were the only one who had a finish better than 5th in a major tournament until those fall series. They took a 4th at the World Championships, but other than that, it's easy to forget how below average, below expectations, Tri and Trevor had played. They didn't finish better than 9th one time in 2022. Their average finish was, I believe, a 12th with a best of 9th. Okay. Then Theo Brunner and Chaim Schalk, their average finish was a 7.5. Their best finish was 4th. We only won 3 medals. And now, at the beginning of the season, before anyone hit the road, I'll just bring this up over and over and over again. Bourne said on his Bourne to Beach vlog, he said, the U.S. is going to be better this season. I guarantee it.
Men's U.S. teams as a whole are all going to be, we're all going to be better this year as a whole. I guarantee you that. Don't worry, U.S. fans, we got you.
And for a long time, as Tri and Chaim were struggling, as Trev and Theo were struggling, the only team to medal for the first half of this season was Chase and Miles, and they took a silver at the Haikou Challenge. And then, of course, Andy Benesh and Miles Partain went ballistic with a bronze in Ostrava, a gold in Stade, and a silver in Montreal. But for a while, it looked like everyone sort of made the wrong choice. The Taylors were struggling and still haven't really been on the World Tour much. And now we come to China, where for just the second time since 1997, and I'll use 1997 as my marker for almost all, like when I say in history, I use 97 because that's the first World Championships. Prior to that, it was mostly just Brazil and the U.S. for the most part. So since 1997, only twice have there been 3 U.S. men's teams in a semifinal. The other was the 2011 Quebec Open, where Phil Dahlhauser and Phil Dahlhauser and Todd Rogers won gold. Nick Lucena and Matt Furbringer won silver, and Jake Gibb and Sean Rosenthal won bronze. Fast forward to 2023, and of all teams to do it, it's Chase Budinger and Miles Evans. They win their first gold medal of the season. It's the first major tournament that Miles has ever won. Now, he's won golds in futures. He has performed well in 2 stars. He finally wins a gold medal. Chase Budinger, that's his second sort of major medal, and by major I mean 4-star and above, challenge and Elite 16s. He wins a gold medal. second major medal of his career. Theo Brunner and Trevor Crabb, they win their second medal of the season. That's their third semifinal. And then you had Bourne and Chaim Schalk. They had their best finish of the season. They finished fourth, ended up losing to Miles and Chase in the semifinals, ended up losing to Australians Zach Schubert and Thomas Hodges for the bronze medal match. So we had 3 U.S. teams in the semifinals, 2 U.S. medals. That's just the 8th time in history, I believe, since, again, 1997, that we have had 2 men's teams in a final. That's impressive, especially when you consider that we've had Phil Dahlhauser, Sean Rosenthal, Sean Scott, Matt Furbringer, Nick Lucena. We've had a lot of phenomenal players, just the 8th time that has ever happened. And of course, Theo texts me as this is going on. He goes, I can't wait for you to hype up the U.S. men for having this great finish in China. Now we have 4 U.S. men's teams in the top 24. And Theo was saying that sarcastically because it was a light tournament, as these tournaments go in the fall. And then I had a coach, Corey Glaive, great coach, really good dude. And he said, so we're giving out participation trophies now on the World Tour. And at this point, your participation trophy, quote unquote, is earned by automatically losing money by going to China. So all U.S. men's teams are out of their stipends. Every U.S. team, you get a max of 10 stipends per year. After that, it is as Theo calls it, a pay-to-play scenario. So the only way that Theo and Trevor were going to break even was by winning the tournament. They didn't win the tournament, ended up losing money. So all they had to do to earn that participation trophy was travel all the way across the world, 24-plus hour travel day, lose money, play 6 matches, win 5 of them, and that's your participation trophy. So it doesn't really matter. A silver medal in China in a weak field is worth the same as a silver medal in Brazil. It's worth the same as a silver medal in Mexico. It's worth the same as a silver medal in Europe. And so now we have 4 U.S. teams in the top 24 of the Olympic rankings for the first time of the entire season. Andy Benesh and Miles Partain are number 10. Theo Brunner and Trevor Crabb are number 14. Bourne and Chaim Schalk are number 16, and Chase Budinger and Miles Evans are number 22. All right, so that's a lot of men's teams in the top 24, and now we have won 7 medals this year versus 3 medals from a year ago. And Chaim, who now last week we had on the hot seat for our podcast saying, do you regret your decision to play with Chaim Schalk? And and Trevor had 0 finishes better than 9th place in 2022. Him and Chaim now have 6 finishes better than that. Their average is a 13th this year, so they're extremely volatile. But when you remove a 37th at the World Championships, when you take what's sort of an outlier, their average finish would actually be better than the average finish of him and Trevor from 2022. So when you look at and in his mind, the process by which he made the decision was correct.
I think the thing that people are missing is like the why behind, like you have to like back yourself. If you do things for the right reasons, then you have to back yourself through the highs and lows and like not give yourself these regrets and whatnot. It's so easy to look like, hey, Trevor's playing well right now. He would have played well with you. Maybe you guys would be in a better position.
Right.
Blah, blah, blah. But we were just in a like place where I needed change. Like I said, when it happened, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore the same way. I'm like, whether it's bored with it or I want to try new things and I want to see if I can grow and like take another step, which is extremely hard when you're already at the top level. And I hadn't done that internationally. So I took that risk for the right reasons at the right time. I think it was the appropriate time. So I don't regret the decision. Because I would want to, like in the future, I want to make decisions the same way.
Right.
Just because it goes south doesn't mean it's the wrong thing to do.
Yeah.
It was a risk no matter what. And
Right.
It would have been a risk going with Trev as well.
And also when you look at it sort of empirically that he's having higher finishes on a more regular basis, it's also sort of a correct decision. Now, I think he thought that he was going to perform better with Chaim. I think he thought he'd have a medal or 2 or 3 by this point. Meanwhile, it's only Andy and Miles, Chase and Miles, and Theo and Trevor who have medals, and they all have multiple medals at this point. And they didn't perform that great on the AVP. But as far as the Olympic discussion goes, you remove the AVP finishes, and Tri and Cam are actually, statistically speaking, a better team than him and Trevor were in 2022, which is super interesting. Trevor and Theo are a better team than Theo and Cam were. Chase and Miles are a better team than Chase and Troy were. And then you have Andy and Miles, who are the best team of all. So at the end of the day, all of these partner switches, there's a lot of questions about it. Now that we have almost a full year of data, and we do have about 11 months of data on it, it seems we are in a better spot at the end of 2023 than we were at the end of 2022. Now, could these partner switches have been better? Are there a couple potential partners that maybe were left out on the table? Probably. Or do we have all the right partners in the right spots? Maybe not. Maybe so. It's impossible to say, but what it is right to say is that the U.S. men are better this year than we were last year, and as Tri-Bourne guaranteed it, it has come true. Now on to storyline number 2 for the men, the Aussies. My boys Zach Schubert and Thomas Hodges, it is full pedal to the metal every single time. They jump high, they hit hard, they rip serves, they don't care. They once missed 11 serves in the first set against Sweden in the World Championships, and they just kept bombing and kept bombing and kept bombing. And in China, it worked out well for them. Their only loss in China was a 3-setter to Trev and Theo. That was in the semifinals, and then they beat Tri and Came for bronze. And so now they are number 12 in the Olympic rankings. I'm not going to Sharpie them yet. They have 6,680 points. Again, I think that the cut line to qualify for the Olympic Games is going to be 7,000. So they're going to have to tack on some more medals, some more high finishes moving forward. But I do think that they have put themselves in an excellent position to qualify. I do think that we will be seeing them in Paris 2024, and they're only going to get better. Now, if you missed the episode that I did after they won gold in Yarmala, you can click on the link above on that little card. If you're listening on audio, just go back and try to find the Yarmala. I said Aussie, 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 gold, gold, gold. That was the headline. That was where I sort of introduced them to and had Damien Schumann, an Australian Olympian. He gave you a little 2-minute background on Hodges and Schubert. So if you missed that, go back and rewatch that because they are here to stay. You're going to be seeing a lot more of them. Super fun style to watch, super fun dudes. And they also just, they have the best accents in the world, and you can't beat that. Storyline number 3. I'm putting together my all-weird team. So the teams at the top, the Anders Mol, the Christian Sorums, the Swedens, the Czechs, all those guys, we know who they are. To quote Dennis Green, they are who we thought they were.
But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
They are elite. And now we have so many teams that are becoming just so weird. You don't know what you're going to get on any given day. And leading the all-weird team and the past 2 weeks in Goa and China are evidence enough. You have Austrians, Robin Seidel and Moritz Pristaus. I do still hold out hope that they're going to qualify because they win gold in Goa coming out of the qualifier. They were down 9-14 in the third set of the finals to Spain's Adrian Gavira and Pablo Herrera. Somehow come all the way back, split blocking with Pristaus at the net, win a gold medal. 2 weeks later, they lose in the qualifier to the Huerta brothers from Spain. And so they just make no sense. So they're leading by all-weird team. And then number 2 on the all-weird team is Gavira and Herrera, who win a silver medal. They're currently number 7 in the Olympic rankings. And then in China, they lose in 3 to Thailand, lose the first set 21-13. Now, this Thai team is very good, but they're not Spain. And then they almost get knocked out of the tournament, losing another one to Lithuania. They had again to win in 3. Again, they lost the first set. Then they have to win a lucky loser match. And then they take Theo and Trevor to 3 after losing the first set 21-10. And they end up losing that 15-13. So Herrera, Gavira, and Pristaus and Seidel, the past 2 tournaments alone show that these challenge levels, they are insane. There's just no consistency anywhere. You could be the top team, you could be seeded Q12, and you could come out and win the tournament. The Australians that I was talking about earlier, their gold medal in Yarmala, they won it out of the qualifier. Portugal's João Pedrosa and Hugo Campos, they won the Edmonton Challenge out of the qualifier. Almost lost to Florian Breer and Marco Kradiger in that qualifier, ended up winning gold in the whole tournament. So these challenge tournaments, they are fascinating to watch. We have 2 more left in the season. We have 1 in the Philippines and 1 in Thailand. More on that in a bit. And then there's 1 Elite 16 left in Brazil. So these challenges are so fun to watch because you just don't know who's in there. Also, number 3 on my all-weird team would be Chase Budinger and Miles Evans, who have a silver medal and a gold medal to their names this season. And yet they're still ranked behind Tri and Came, who have 0 medals. both in gross points and points per event. And so the highs are high and the lows are low for the all weird team. Tri and Cam are sort of in that all weird team as well, but they still are consistently getting top fives. Half of their finishes are top five. They just can't break through and win that medal. Now that'll be all the storylines from the men. So we're going to have our Waiakea water break. Now, a really fun development for the Road to Paris series in SANDCAST moving forward is we are partnering with Volleyball TV. Most of you guys know I commentate for Volleyball TV, have an absolute blast doing it. And so now the Road to Paris, we are going to be able to feature video highlights. And so it's not just going to be a bunch of still pictures that I pull from the website. And by the way, this episode is not going to have any still pictures because there are no pictures from China. So I'll just have a couple old ones, but you're just going to have to stare at my mug the whole time and also have a look at my meat eater hat. This is the second meat eater shout out we've given on the podcast. The last one came in after the Espino challenge that Trev and Theo won. Where we're going. I got to give a shout out to my guy Steven Ranella, host of the Meat Eater podcast and the Meat Eater show on Netflix. He's one of the reasons that we're out here because we just wanted to explore Alaska. When I was in Alaska, where Steven Ranella hosts a lot of his Meat Eater, and then I'm about to go on an elk hunt. I leave Thursday, so I'll be off the grid for about 10 days on my Meat Eater elk hunt. Now, on to the women. Barbara and Carol of Brazil. I've Sharpied them before. They are just like extra Sharpie. They won their third gold medal of the season, fourth if you count their win at the South American Continental Championships. They had the opportunity to really just kick it in, just cement it in place when they played Taina Silva and Victoria Lopez in the first round of World Championships. Ended up losing that one in the first round, so they missed out on a big chance for points at the World Champs. Taina Silva and Victoria Lopez ended up getting fifth, and then I was like, maybe I Sharpied Barbara Carol a little bit too early. And then they played them in the semifinals. Barbara and Carol handled business, 21-17, 21-17, and then just spanked China for gold, 21-14, 21-9. And Barbara and Carol are now Sharpie, number 3 in the Olympic ranks behind Duda and Anna Patricia and Kristen and Taryn. And then fourth is Kelly Chang and Sarah Hughes. As for Taina and Victoria, so they win a bronze medal. They've just been queens of getting to the semifinals. They've had a ton of podiums this year, extending tournaments. Now, that bronze only bumped up their points by 40. So at this point, challenges are almost useless as far as the Olympic race is concerned for Taina and Victoria because they can only gain so many points. They've hit their 12 finishes. Once you hit your 12 finishes, you can only replace your worst finish after that. So say they lose in the qualifier, or say they even win a gold, there's of a challenge, they're really only going to go up by a max of 100 points. So now Taina and Victoria, they're going to have to up the risk and start playing in a lot of Elite 16s. Now they got wild carded into the Brazil Elite 16 in November. That's November 22nd through 26th in João Pessoa. Yeah. Not João Pedrosa. That's a Portuguese player. They're not playing in João Pedrosa. They are wild-carded into that main draw, so they will need to start getting on the podiums of Elite 16s on a regular basis if they want to stay in the Olympic race. By my count, Brazil race is over. Anna Patricia Duda, Sharpie. Barbara Carol, Sharpie. Storyline number 2 for the women, Molly McBain and Sarah Pavin. Just such a delightful little storyline to watch. So Molly McBain, stud player at Florida State, was phenomenal, is the quiet assassin. Just as quiet as they come. You're not going to get more than 10 words out of her. She just goes about her business. She took a year off, got her graduate degree, and then Sarah Pavin, when her and Sophie Bukovic split, Pavin calls her up and says, hey, you want to play some defense behind me? And McBain's like, sure, I can start playing some beach volleyball again. Was second in digs per match at the World Championships, and now they are just cruising. They took a 5th in Haikou. That is their third finish, 600 points and above in their last 4 tournaments. They're trending in the right direction. They took down Anouk Verger-Dupre and Joanna Mater, 21-19, 21-16 in the 9th place rounds. So they just beat a European Championship team. They beat an Olympic bronze medalist team. And McBain's only been playing volleyball for like 9 months since taking a full year off, playing behind Sarah Pavin, who's got plenty of gas left in the tank. So that's a team that's trending in the right direction. Right now, they're number 31 in the Olympic ranks. They're averaging 452.5 points per event and trending in the right direction.
And take 3.5.
Take 3. More technical difficulties. Camera just keeps shutting off. Never had that. This camera's actually been over reliable. So, back to where I was. Molly McBain, Sarah Pavin, playing excellent, trending in the right direction, as are their fellow Canadians, Sophie Bukovic and Heather Bansley. Now, as I mentioned before, Pavin and Bukovic started the season together, ended up not working out. Both of them took some time off, sort of recentered, refocused. Pavin went with McBain. Bukovic, who was a blocker, then was a defender for Heather Bansley, or not for Heather Bansley, was a defender for Brandy Wilkerson, then defended for Pavin, then went back to blocking. She's a phenomenal athlete. She can do whatever she wants, really. She play left, play right, block, defend. So now she has picked up the legend in Heather Bansley, a 3-time FIVB Best Defensive Player. Now, Bansley hasn't lost a step. She's averaging 12.25 digs per match in Haikou, where they finished 5th. Their only 2 losses were to Barbara and Carol. 2 of those sets went to 23-21. So their ceiling is very, very high, as I've already lauded the efforts and just lavished praise upon Barbara and Carol, as I will over and over and over again, be it here or on VBTV. So Bukovic and Bansley, now they have a long way to go. However, they can build up points very fast. They're now number 7 in the qualifier for the Brazil Elite 16. And if they make a main draw and make a decent run, well, this Canadian women's race is going to be fascinating. So the Canadian women's race between Bukovic and Bansley and Pavin and McBain is really interesting. Probably the race that I find most interesting on the women's side, that and the Swiss between Anouk Verger-Dupre and Joanna Mader and Zoe Verger-Dupre and Esme Bobner. Both of them took a 9th, so neither ceded nor gained ground on one another in Haikou. However, Joanna and Anouk did win a gold, their first medal in 17 events on the Beach Pro Tour. A huge congrats to them when they won that gold in Goa, India. Then they took that 9th, and so they are just on the challenge train from here on out. And so the Canadian women's race, super interesting. Swiss women's race, super interesting. Now, my last storyline for the women is the all dark horse team. The Lithuanian women. Man, I love Monika Polakine and Ain Raupalait. They're so fun to watch. And most of the time when you see, like, you know, a Lithuanian flag, you might not even recognize it. Where's that country from? Lithuania? It should be a gimme. Not this team. So Ain Raupalait is the tallest blocker in the world. She stands 6'6". That's taller than Pavin. That's taller than Kelly Chang, taller than Anna Patricia, taller than Taryn Cloth. You name it. All the elites. Ain Raupalait is the biggest blocker in the world, and it shows. And behind her is this feisty and fierce and fiery defender in Monika Polakine, and they're tremendous. They took a 4th in Haikou, ended up losing to Taina Silva and Victoria Lopez for bronze, but they're now number 25 in the Olympic rankings, and they took a 5th at the European Championships. All right, so their wins this season, this wasn't just a fluke tournament. They also took 4th in Sakurima. Their wins this season include 3 wins over Lily and Paula of Spain, 3 wins over Bar Hermanova and Marie Sarastoklova of the Czech Republic, a win over Katja Stam and Raisa Skun, a win over Chinyi Shah and Chen Shu, and a win over Taina Silva and Victoria Lopez. So they have beaten elite teams. Now, the ball control issues are the main problem in that Raupalait, 6'6", has a little trouble in the wind. That's what was the Achilles heel in China. However, that team is dangerous. My all dark horse team is Lithuania and Finland's Taru Lahti and Nina Atiainen. They didn't play this event, but they play virtually every other event. I think it'd be really fun to see a Lithuanian team and a Finnish team qualify for the Olympic Games. So those are 2 really fun teams to watch. And if you haven't watched them play, really highly encourage you to watch that Lithuanian team, because Monika Polakine, the defender, she is a blast to watch. Now on to everyone's favorite section, the struggle bus. So the struggle bus this week is going to be a little bit different flavor. This is not a player or a team on the struggle bus, but the format of the challenges. So if you noticed, and it was hard not to notice if you were following the tournament, half of the second round of the winners' side of the modified pool play for the men were forfeited. Theo Brunner and Trevor Crabb won by forfeit against Adrian Heidrich and Leo Dillier. Chase Budinger and Miles Evans, they won via forfeit against Marco Kradiger and Florian Brier. And then Poland's Jakub Zybek and Piotr Kantor, they forfeited. And so you have half of your second round matches of the winners bracket forfeited. Now, why is this? Here's just a quick explanation. So whether you win or you lose that second round match, you start in the same place. You will start in the round of 16 or the 9th place rounds, whatever you want to call it, in the playoffs. Theoretically, this gives you better seeding. However, take a look at what happened to Trevor Crabb and Theo Brunner, and you'll see why teams are forfeiting. Now, Trevor and Theo tried their best not to win that forfeit. I'm not kidding. They played rock, paper, scissors with Heidrich and Dillier. And so they lost, and even Brunner wrote on social media, against our best efforts, we won pool. We were heartbroken because they didn't want to play Spain. Because Spain had lost their first round, barely snuck out in their second, so they knew that Spain would be coming out of a lucky loser. Well, the only two teams that are going to be able to play a lucky loser are teams in 1 and 2 of pool. Theo and Trev, the number 1 seed, they knew that they were going to get Spain coming out of the lucky loser. They're like, well, let's just lose this on purpose because they're arguably the best team in the tournament. They end up losing that rock, paper, scissors to Heidrich and Dillier, and they played Spain, barely snuck out, won 15, 13, and 3, and that is the skinny on why teams forfeit. Now, teams will do this for a variety of reasons. So for the most part, there's no incentive, but at this point in the season, we're 10 months into it. You've played a ton of matches. You got tendonitis, you got sprained ankles, your shoulder's bothering you, your back's bothering you, your neck's bothering you. You can barely stand up. You've traveled more than 6 figures of miles on airplanes. If you're from North or South America, you're all over the place. You got food poisoning from Mexico, from China, from India, whatever it may be. There's plenty of reasons, legitimate reasons, why you should forfeit, especially if there's no incentives. And that's what players look at. They just do a cost-benefit analysis like Chaim Schalk did. So Chaim Schalk went from Mexico to India. Both of them had pretty bad stomach bugs. They win their first round against a qualifier or against a hometown team in India. They were going to play Portugal's João Pedrosa and Hugo Campos, and they were like, you know what? We would be way better off if we rested. Our stomachs are legitimately bad. We should forfeit, rest up. They do that. They draw an Austrian qualifier team. Campos and Pedrosa get Hodges and Schubert, and Chaim Schalk end up getting 5th, moving on into the quarterfinals. Portugal loses. And so you look at it, is there an incentive to play? Not really. And now we have 10 forfeits this season in that second round of pool play. And so it's just something that's going to keep happening moving forward. And it's just kind of a no-win situation for everyone. The players aren't winning because they don't get to play, or when they do win, it doesn't really matter. If you lose, it doesn't really matter. You can use it for reps, but now that we're 10 months into the season, no one's really looking for more reps. You're just looking to get through a tournament as fast as possible. And then the fans who either paid up or just either paid to come watch you play, or just took the time out of their day to come watch. Well, now there's nothing to watch. The fans at home watching on VBTV, if you set your alarms to watch Chaim Schalk to play in India, which I know a lot of people did, now you just get up at 2 in the morning for no reason. Same goes for all the other forfeits. And so with 10 forfeits coming, it's just sort of everyone kind of loses. And then the actual TV promotions loses because you don't have anything to televise. And so nothing's going to actually change in the system until the end of the Paris Olympics in the 2025 season. And then I'd expect a number of changes to happen. I'd expect them to. I have no idea if they will, but I think that this will be sort of the impetus needed, if there was any, for there to be a change in the challenge format. So that's why forfeits are happening, and why you can probably expect to see them continue to happening, especially in super hot tournaments and super humid tournaments. Now, on to better and brighter things. On Friday, there is a really big NORCECA qualifier in Manhattan Beach. And why do I say really big? Because this is the qualifier to get you into the Continental Championships. The Continental Championships are worth the same number of points as a challenge. Okay, and with how weak NORCECA is, or not weak, but like the sheer lack of depth, because it is a very top-heavy, you're virtually guaranteed an appearance in the semifinals. And so a bronze medal is 720, silver 760, gold's 800. So it'll be Cuba, Canada, top U.S. team. Nicaragua was solid. Puerto Rico's okay here and there. So everyone's playing in this. Miles and Andy are playing. Chase and Miles are playing. Trevor and Chaim are playing. Theo and Trevor playing. For reasons I don't really totally understand or know, the Taylors are not playing, but Evan Corey and Troy Field are also playing. I think Cody Caldwell is also playing with someone. So it'll be a tremendous display of beach volleyball. The women's side, most teams, to my knowledge, are playing. I haven't seen that bracket, but either way, go out to Manhattan Beach on Friday. I won't be there. I will be in Colorado on the elk hunt, so I'll be off the grid, thank goodness, but I highly recommend you go. That is huge. So the championships will be December 14th through 17th. That'll be, I believe, in the Dominican Republic. And then after that, there will be a challenge in Thailand. That is November 16th through 19th. A Elite 16 in Brazil on the 22nd through 26th. That will be the next installment of the Road to Paris, is after that Elite 16. And then there is a season capper in the Philippines the first week of December. And then that'll be it for the Olympic race. And then there's going to be the World Tour Finals. So the 2023 season is coming to an end. Now, as I said on the last time, we've done this sign-off a couple times now because of these technological issues. So producer 2, bless his little heart, is still asleep through 2 sign-offs. And as I was saying, I mean, thank God he's asleep, because he wakes up about every 45 minutes. So I'm about to take a nap with him. So no sign off from producer 2. So from producer 1 in the background, who has started this camera 3 times, from producer 2, who has napped through all 3 cuts of the show, and from myself, thank you for watching The Road to Paris. Shoots.